So Bitcoin going to zero, I think, it's not totally out of the question. Did a video, 18 reasons why the end of Bitcoin is near at 120K. Probably the only channel in the world to do so. So I think we deserve some credit for that. When sentiment was so positive back then, that's why we were saying, that was possible. I mean, now sentiment is getting a little bit more negative. Yeah, with the Epstein situation, people thinking he's founded it, and we heard Dan Paynter say that when you find out who Bitcoin's founded by, it's going to zero. I mean, I think he actually referenced Putin in that video, but still, that sort of speculation is moving around at the moment. What are your thoughts, Craig?
Yeah, well, I'm certainly on the sentiment front. I'm seeing more people coming out now and saying, look, Bitcoin could go to zero. Of course, anything can go to zero. And one of the fundamental problems with Bitcoin that we highlighted in that video you're talking about
Mm.
is that there's no fundamental value behind it, unlike gold and silver and other commodities. So, yes, technically it could go to zero, but the very fact that there are now many people coming out and saying that, which when we made our video saying that Bitcoin was going
Mm.
to collapse, nobody was saying that. Everybody was saying it was going to go to a million, it was going to go to 10 million,
Mm.
whatever. But now there are many people coming out and saying it's going to zero. And for that reason, I would suggest it's not going to zero yet. And it may
Yes.
well even be going to have a bounce. And maybe, I'm not, as I said in the last video we made, don't try to catch a falling knife. I'm just not recommending that anybody
Yes.
buy Bitcoin here. But my answer to is it going to zero? Well, maybe, but it's not going straight to zero, and it may even have a
Mm.
substantial bounce, and it may even go back up and test the high. So who knows? But the very fact that people are talking about it going to zero means probably not, at
Yes.
least
Yeah.
not
Exactly.
not yet.
Yeah, and then just, pulling back up on the chart, I mean, we made the video, I mean, I said this before, up on this day here, exactly at the top, about 123K, and now we are literally where we said it would fall to, about this 200 weekly MA, because we fell through the support levels of the daily time frame, got through the 200, fell through that. We said that would happen.
That's a
And
very ugly chart. I
yeah.
would not like to be on the long side here.
This is a massive candle compared to all the other weekly massive drops. This is one of the biggest ones, in fact, the biggest one ever. So yeah, we've always said wait for a couple of green days before taking action. You can see on bigger time frames with bigger moving averages, it takes a lot longer when it gets to them to turn around. I mean, other than maybe this occurrence here, but you can see it does bounce off this 200 weekly. MA, and we were calling for, in line with those previous 2021 highs, bearing in mind the consolidation zone here with the wicks and the 200 on the weekly. I mean, I would be not surprised if it had a low here, from here down to the wick there. So you got a very
Yeah.
tight zone from around 60,
You have to
65
look at
to
these other
49.
pivot points
Mm.
where there's been a previous high or low on the way up. Uh,
Yes.
those are important points as to whether it holds that. And as you say, the 200 moving average is very close to the pivot point
Yeah,
from at the end of 2024. So
exactly.
that's an important level. Around is that around about 50? It's
That
still
is at 50 exactly. That is actually
yeah.
insane, actually. That is definitely the level I've been calling. 50
Yes.
exactly. And that's exactly where that wick is on this day here, which is the
So,
2024
so, so, that, so
lower
that's
on the
that's an important level to watch. If the chart pattern looks right at that point, that may be
yeah.
the time to go in at least for a short-term trade.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean here, yeah, in this zone here, but especially if it's down here, you could be, and still like us, like, oh, maybe it's possible it could go to zero. But I mean, even when it was down here, I was thinking, well, I did actually say to buy to a couple of friends because of this part chatting on the daily. But yeah, if we start to get, green on the weekly, but also if we go to let me click it daily. Yeah, we are starting to have a green day here. It's way too early. This is the beginning of the day,
Yes.
so we can still close red. If we start to have, a couple of green days in this zone here, especially close to 50K, and then it starts to break above the 9 moving average, which is this line here, which you can see, even on the fall down here, it gets up to it, falls off of it, gets up to it, falls off of it. If we start to
It's
close
still a pretty
above it,
nasty looking chart, Hector. Wouldn't you say?
it is, yeah, yeah, it's very
I,
concerning.
I, I wouldn't be buying. It would take a brave person to be buying right here. And I see quite a few people on my timeline posting messages on buying it. Yesterday, I saw people buying it at 70, buying it at 67. They're buying it all the way down.
It's
And
just silly, yeah. No,
it's
they're
not.
they love it too much. They have a too much of an emotional connection. It's like their child, whereas they need to wait until there's actually, at least 4 or 5 days of stability, and then maybe that's when you put $1 cost average in, which not necessarily is going to be the bottom anyway, but typically those are the best times to at least do those rather than just on straight red days. There's no rush to get into these stuff. The market
No,
moves relatively
definitely not.
slowly. Yeah.
This is going to be looked at as a very weird period in history where people
Mm.
were actually handing over money for absolute trash. When you look at these meme coins that everybody was buying, and maybe they still are buying, but the biggest examples are Trump coin, Melania coin. I mean, who's insane enough to buy that crap?
Yeah.
And it's, of course, we said it at the time, and it's fallen, I think, by at least 95% since it came out. It's just a complete scam.
Absolutely. I mean, it's actually scary. And then, even MicroStrategy, we this could even go even this could absolutely almost certainly will go to zero. I mean, you made a very good point before the call. They've got an average purchase price in the 70K Bitcoin range, and now we're well below that. They're going to be absolutely on leverage as well, going to be totally stuck.
They've borrowed billions to buy all these bitcoins that they can't sell
Yeah.
because if they started selling, the price would be closer to zero
Yeah.
because it's just unsustainable.
Maybe they
There's
have been, and the people haven't been realizing as well. There might be lots of
Well,
things
mate,
going on behind the scenes. Yeah.
I think a big part of the drop in the price is that MicroStrategy have stopped buying. Not that they're selling, they've stopped buying because all the
Yeah.
whales have been unloading their Bitcoin to MicroStrategy, and now
Yeah.
that MicroStrategy has stopped buying, that's been enough to collapse the price. If they
Mm.
start selling, look out below.
Yeah, well, I mean, a great point we made in that 18 reasons why Bitcoin was going to come to an end. We also said it, we weren't saying fully end. We were saying that we were going to have some of these dead cat bounces and maybe we'd trade sideways, a bit like Ethereum, in this sort of 2024 bull market of Bitcoin. Ethereum just traded sideways and didn't do anything until the institutions came in, Trump came in, the government came in, and they were the ones also buying Bitcoin, and that was propping it up in an almost an artificial way, was the argument we were saying. And where are these other buyers going to come from? And
Well,
that's clearly been the case.
all the Trump administration stuff was all talk. They didn't actually buy any Bitcoin, and all these Bitcoiners who supposedly stand for freedom are all now supporting the government seizing Bitcoin because the only reason the government owns any Bitcoin is because they stole it
Yeah,
through asset forfeiture laws. So now all these supposed freedom-loving Bitcoin people are all supporting the government in their stolen Bitcoin fund.
yeah,
It's crazy. Bitcoin does not do what it was founded to do.
exactly.
Almost nobody is using it as money.
Yeah,
It's supposedly a store of value, which it's absolutely not. If you want a store of value, buy precious metals, not Bitcoin. If you want to, Bitcoin's a pure speculation, and it's
mm,
been a good speculation for many people, including me. But don't confuse it with a store of value. It's
mm,
not. It's a speculation.
yeah, exactly. And the blockchain's the thing of value. Other things that are more private, like precious metals, physical ownership of them, maybe Monero and other privacy coins, do the exact same job as Bitcoin. You made another point that that you're buying Bitcoin, but you're also it's no different to buying some of the other coins just because it's got limited supply. And yeah, it's a very interesting thing. And with this, and just going back to the technical charts here. I think we are going to have a bounce, especially around this zone here, which we've
Yes.
been calling for a long time. If that comes to fruition as well, we have therefore predicted every single literal intricate detail of how the price has moved. And even if I probably will take a position, even though I'm not a big believer of Bitcoin. So that should tell people who are big believers of Bitcoin, they should probably take a position. But
Oh, no,
also,
just to highlight though, if it keeps on falling after that level,
yeah.
then you know
Cyanada, pal. Yeah, that is
watch out below. It's going much lower if it
yeah,
does.
yeah. And yeah, and absolutely it's not gonna have any more bull cycles, I don't think. I think it all could do these sideways trading. Like it might get up back to 100, but it's never gonna break all-time highs again. I think if it doesn't hold this level here, it's lost its, all these people the 4 year cycle, the 5 year cycle, it's just gonna have broken all of them. It's gonna have destroyed sentiment so much, it's gonna take it's going to be a crypto Arctic winter, and it's going to be a lot longer than previous times, I think. So yeah, but at the same time, still a great level based on history. So this would be potentially the low if it was going to hold its bull market. But yeah, I would be very, very
It's
conscious.
it's an interesting instrument to trade because there's lots of volatility in it, and any trader wants to have volatility. But
Mm,
as I said, it's a speculation, but it can be fun to trade, especially if you're on the right side of it. Trading is never fun if you're on the wrong side. But
absolutely, yeah. I mean, even some of our trades, even on MicroStrategy, I mean, we were sending messages to each other when we got below the 200 because it trades beautifully off the 200 here. When it got below here, we were trading messages saying like talking about shorting, on
yeah,
the underside of the 200 on MicroStrategy.
I think I said on here that
Yeah,
MicroStrategy would be the shorting opportunity of a lifetime, and
absolutely.
I would suggest that if this has a bounce goes back up the way, short it again,
Yeah,
short it
100%.
all the way down. This stock is most likely going to zero eventually.
Yeah, they can't maintain what they've been doing, and then you had all these other firms trying to do the same with Solana and the same with other coins. It was just laughable. Yeah, but 72% down from where we were talking about the shorting that and showing the chart and showing exactly on that 200 went to short. But yeah, hopefully it gets back up to that 200. I don't see that happening, but if it did, definitely be shorting it.
Well, I mean,
Um,
it's a leverage play on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin rises again, gets back off I think their purchase price averaged out about somewhere between 73 and $76,000 per Bitcoin.
yeah, that's very
So
interesting.
they've got a major loss now. But if it goes back above that, then it's a leverage play on Bitcoin, so it will most likely rise from there. But I think
Mm,
people are starting to see. No, I very much doubt that anyone's going to lend them money to buy more Bitcoin. I mean, stranger things have happened, but
yeah.
who'd be crazy enough to lend MicroStrategy more money to buy even more Bitcoin, which they've made unsellable.
No, exactly. And then you had even I think it was Cardone who we've actually had calls with, and then the Trump administration, setting up miners, trying to collaborate with Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. I mean, not to take random personal digs, but it was funny that in the Epstein files, they said that Michael Saylor had, zero personality and stuff, and we were saying that he kind of looks a bit like a fraudster just because of how he
Well,
operates and how he just acts. Sometimes you can sense these things. I mean, we shouldn't really be saying that. We
yes.
should go off more factual
Well,
things, but
I would not be investing in MicroStrategy. There's, they've got history as well. The work they have been involved in strange dealings in the past, long before they were involved in Bitcoin. So
mm,
it's one to watch out for. The other point that we should make is about the Bitcoin miners, because the average price to mine a Bitcoin now is $90,000.
mm,
So with the price where it is now, all the Bitcoin miners are unprofitable. They're all losing a fortune.
yeah,
So that's another key point that
they'll experience Bitcoin zero sooner than everyone else, basically. Yeah.
a lot of these miners are going to get out of business because they've set up this huge infrastructure to mine Bitcoin,
Mm,
costing them $90,000 per Bitcoin. So they're losing, as we sit here today, $24,000 per Bitcoin mined. Now
yeah.
they're not going to stay in business for very long with
Mm.
markets like that.
No, it's funny they're all boasting of their 30% gains, and now it's going so quickly the other way that yeah, it's going to be a Bitcoin zero for them very, very, or much
Yeah,
sooner than anyone else. Yeah.
yes, and the other point that everybody has to be aware of as well when Bitcoin falls is, remember, the last time Bitcoin had a significant fall, the exchange FTX went out of business.
That's true as well.
There
Mm,
are rumors abounding now about other exchanges who are in trouble, because when you leave money with these exchanges, they can
mm.
use your money basically for whatever they want.
They can steal from you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what FTX were doing. You take the money and you put it on the wrong horse,
Mm,
and everybody loses their money. So no, that's another vulnerability in the system. I always say to anybody buying cryptocurrencies, keep it on your own wallet. Don't keep it on the exchanges. But of course, it's so convenient to keep it on the exchanges.
yes.
Most people keep it. I don't know what the percentage is, but most people keep it on the exchanges. But that's another risk, as we bang on about in this channel again and again.
Mm,
If you don't own it, if you don't have it in your possession, you don't own it. If you have money in the bank, you don't really own it, because that can be taken at any time. If you
mm,
have gold stored in somebody else's vault, you don't own it.
mm.
Somebody can take it.
Yeah. No, that's
You have to
definitely
have. Let's see if your answer is.
Yeah, we should clip this and we'll keep it at the end of Bitcoin section. But then I'm going to split it and also double post it because we've been banging on about that for so long. I think the titles for this is definitely get your crypto off exchanges ASAP because I think that's another one. I think this is going to be another one of our big predictions. I reckon there's going to be a big exchange that collapses. I think yeah, I think that's almost certainly going to be the case. So yeah,
And there's nobody there to bail out these exchanges. I mean, and they don't let the banks go bust nowadays. The
mm,
central bank come and bail them out. But that's not going to happen for the exchanges. It'd be interesting to see if a really big exchange like Binance or Coinbase was in
mm,
trouble. Would the state somehow have to bail them out? They certainly shouldn't. It's morally wrong for the state to bail anything out,
yeah,
banks, whatever. But given that you get this crypto-friendly administration in Washington, would
mm,
they bail out Coinbase or
yeah.
Binance?
They would argue they're doing it for the people when really they're still doing it for the institutions, which is a
Yes,
sad thing. Whereas actually, if the free market is the best market, it means the best businesses survive, the best investments survive and thrive. Whereas you get some fraudsters and other stuff surviving because they just free ride off of people and the government are in on it as well. So yeah, big
yes,
problem.
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, and hopefully everyone's listening to us.
Hopefully.
Lovely.
Thanks, Hector.